Hi my dear friends, Daolanders. Today we're going to talk about the comparison between prana and chi. In many cases I hear people talk about prana and chi as being basically the same. Prana, chi, energy, they are being confused with each other. And in this video I'm going to start to make an introduction with why that is stupid. I have written a book which is going to be processed into an ad program for your convenience, in which I explain why chi is no energy, why energy is not chi, why it is not the same. But in this case we're going to talk about prana, because in that course I don't have the opportunity to talk about prana also, because it would be too complicated. What is it? What is it? Eh? Black? You want to dig into? Or you want attention? What we're going to do is then discuss, of course, what is prana, what is chi, what is the difference between them. And of course I cannot go in depth into all these kind of things. I'm not a specialist in Indian biological approaches, although I do know that some of the trends that are present in Chinese culture, namely to westernize things by associating them by Western spirituality and Western science, are also present in India. The development of yoga in the 20th century is we owe to that modernization in the Indian army, which was looking for a practice to train the military, because the English didn't allow the Indian military to exercise. So this way they created stronger physical bodies for the soldiers. So it is military practice. That is basically it. Yoga, if you do yoga, military practice. Of course, there's more to it than that. We go look at, for this we go look at several yogic texts and ideas, and as a result of that we are going to be more aware of what prana is and why indeed it is a little bit naive to compare the two with each other, or to see them even as identical. They are from completely different senses of reality. So let's not get into that. And for this we have to ask ourselves a few questions. When we talk about chi and prana, we do know that is true, that there is a long interchange between China and India. From India there were tantric witches coming to China, and they also introduced Buddhism and also Brahmin thinking into China, and it actually created or co-created basically the formulation of or crystallization of both Confucianism and Daoism into particular kind of schools. Daoism looked very much at Buddhism once it started formalizing itself in the Han Dynasty and after the Han Dynasty, and it created its own Daoist ideas of monastery, organization, and so on and so on. They looked at each other, they took aspects of each other and created their own groups of meanings and activities. But of course China already had a long history at that time with thinking about the human body and about the chi, and they had their own sense of theories, and they at best nuanced it because of this crystallization. Unfortunately writers like Strickman, these are already deceased, but in his book Daoist Medicine he emphasized how the first so-called Buddhists actually were tantrists, and they were bringing Indian witchcraft to China, and that Daoism organized itself with a combination of soothsayers, wizards, shamans, counselors for important people, and so on, to create a body of knowledge and understandings as a defense against this witchcraft, because they saw a lot of harm coming from that. And as a result of that, they slowly started discerning tantrism and Buddhism, and then from there they started discerning also other aspects of this culture. And as a result of that, they gradually started learning from Buddhism, like what is valuable about it. Because if anything, Taoists are pretty much eclectic, and they are willing to look at other cultures to see what is there. And so they practiced things, and they studied concepts, they translated, and so on and so forth. And some of these translators and interpreters, they became eventually the Buddhists, what we call Chinese Mahayana Buddhism, and the others, they took some aspects into their own Taoist culture and crystallized that more deeply into their Neidan Weidan practice, and also in their medicine, and so on and so on. So Buddhism in that sense has a lasting effect on Taoist culture and Taoist sciences, and therefore it is also interesting to see how this competition basically between the two cultures also created that very clear differentiation why Indian theories and Chinese theories, they are mutually exclusive, even though sometimes there's some overlap, but it doesn't make them the same, or it doesn't even make them similar. Chinese theories about the qi and so on, and I will leave out all the other aspects of Chinese medicine theory, but let's say the theories of qi, they originate to a large part in the Book of Histories, in the Tao Te Ching, Zhuangzi, in the Hongdian Jing, of course, and several other texts, which we have discussed already in earlier movies also. In essence, we can say that these ideas from that we can call orthodox medicine, orthodox Taoism, and so on and so forth. And then there is the heterodox teachings, which is the origin of all the orthodox teachings, and they were being mingled together. When we talk about qi, first we have to understand that Taoists talk about Tao, and at the moment when they talk about Tao, they also talk about qi. When they talk about Tao Qi, in that sense, yes, that is a tandem, because Tao is generating things. The way how it does that is perfect, and that is Qi, and it is actually a very active something, and that is the Qi of something is the activity of the Tao being perfect. Then there is, of course, Yuan Qi, and that is Yuan Qi is part of that what is being generated by Tao. Yes, so that qi from Yuan Qi is not the same qi. You see the two different kind of characters as a result of that. When we look at these two different kind of characters, you see that the Yuan Qi, or first qi or prime qi, is basically the foundation of reality as we know it. All the things are being generated through the efficiency of Tao. That means that yin and yang, they turn into heaven and heaven and earth, they have their qi. At the moment when they mingle with each other, you get all the Yuan beings, the 10,000 beings as being said in the West with 1, 1, 1 and 4 zeros, the constellation of life and death, which is separated because of these associations. Nothingness is death, and one is life in that sense. And in the Tao Te Ching we also talk about from Tao comes one, and that is the life, and from the one come the two, that's two lives, and that means that life generates and differentiates further and further and further, and that Tao actually is doing that kind of job. So when we talk about the Yuan Qi, we see the Yuan Qi as the first Qi, the creation process of things, and it also shows that the subtle something that is being created or generated by Tao is not the same as Tao itself. Although there are thinkers also in Chinese culture that says that the things that exist are manifestations of Tao, and that is very similar to some things, some theories we also have in Christianity and in Islam. But now, at this moment, we are going to go a step further. One thing that is, I think, essential is that yin and yang are two particular kind of natural forces. Yin is that what is contracting and coagulating, and yang is that what is expanding. The coagulating part is creating hardness and solidness, so it's therefore the generator of matter. and all the different kind of things, the matter things, they all have different forms of hardness, and if there is enough yang in it, it moves itself. If there is no yang in it, then it's just a thing. That difference is very important to see. This shoe, even though it is meant for walking, you can see I'm not a very good having good behavior for these shoes. These shoes, when they are here, they are great, but even though they are used in walking, they don't have yang by themselves. So no matter what kind of shoes you put onto your body, they will not add to your yang. They only make it more possible maybe to walk better, but for this you shouldn't buy any sport shoes, because all these kind of things, they weaken these luxury shoes to help you enhance the qualities of your sports. They only weaken your body as a whole, and they basically are the same like glasses. Glasses are great, but they do not really help your body. They only help you deal with the situation as it is without improving your body. So as a crutch, right? As a crutch, all the luxury shoes, the glasses and everything like that, they are actually damaging for your system. What do you want? You want to dig into me? Oh, you want attention? Yeah, you want attention, yes. Understandable. The body and the yin and yang also are playing an important role. The yin and the yang are two manifestations of the waters of our body. We have three kinds of water, you can say. You have the yin, you have the yang, and you have the body fluids as a whole. And body fluids as a yin and a yang, in that sense, they are shaped as saliva or condense, which is taking place in your head, in your mouth, and it's coming down through the renmai, filling up the renmai, running over into the tumai through the perineum. And when it is reaching the Mingmen is called the ministerial fire, and the ministerial fire actually heats up the water and creates steam going upward, and it creates an endless cycle in essence, through which the steaming of the water of the body goes up, and then it comes down as condensed, and you basically percolate this water through your body, making it more and more pure with every circulation, when it is done consciously. When it is not done consciously, the Mingmen is like a back burner. It's not working very hard. It just creates enough yang to make sure that you live, but it doesn't create enough yang to make sure that you actually can become an immortal. So that's basically what it is. So at the moment, when we talk about these things, you see that the water, when it comes down back into the dantian itself is a yin, but it generates yang. That is why it says in the different classics, in Chinese medicine and alchemical classics, that the yang is generated by the yin. So the dantian is a yin place because it is a medicine, it's a thing basically, and then at that moment it generates the yang, and the yang rises up towards the lungs and goes through what is called the 12 channels, the 12 regular channels, the jingluo. And the jingluo, they are like 12 organ systems, you can say. They are a third group of organs next to the tongue and the fu. This is how I teach it anyway in my school. It's very different from what other people teach. They see the channels as energy conduits or anything like that, or meridians. This is all modern ideas that are not confirmed by the classics. So I would forget about these theories if I were you, and I would read into listening to the channels as something that is really expressing a particular kind of organic functionality, and they are like a third group next to the tongue and the fu. The channels are of course 12, and these are partly organic, partly synthetic channels, so there's a lot of history behind that we're not going to talk about right now. We do that somewhere else, and in the Chinese medicine course you can discuss this extensively. But then of course there are the 5 tongue, there's the yin organs, the massive organs you can say, and the 6 fu, which are like factories, workplaces, rivers, and so on and so forth. Altogether you have like 23 organs, not counting the different artificial channels, like the sanjiao and the pericardium channel. So in fact you have 21 channels, you might say. Yeah, 21 channels would actually be a better number. At the moment, when we talk about that, because of all the artificiality and the regularity of these kind of theories, in that sense you have the amount like channels and organs, that amount of qi in your body. When the body is damaged, your body system is skewed, and that means that through damage or through surplus in your body is dysfunctional to a particular kind of degree, and it affects your organs, it affects your sense organs, it affects your body muscles, your joints, and so on and so forth. So practicing your body, practicing the functionality of your different kind of body parts is very important, and that means that you practice all these different kind of chi of the body to make sure that everything works. Exercises, internal exercises like the organ massage that we learned within our Chinese medicine program, or the physical exercise, which nowadays is called qigong, which is part of general practices that we do every week. Also, Wudang Fitness, which is a fast qigong or a yin gong. All these kinds of things, they all contribute one way or the other to our health and therefore the better functioning of all kinds of things. When something has a qi, it means that it is perfect. The fact that it is doing something, that is a yang. And the fact that it does exist, that is the yin. And so there is the existence generating yang activity, and if it is coordinated perfectly, you have a qi. Yes. So between the yang and the yin, there is an interplay which is called tai chi. Tai chi, in that sense, is the polarization between the form of an organ and the activity of the organ. And if the tai chi is being harmonized in the proper way, so that the polarization is as little as possible, then at that moment you see that through minimalism, basically you create qi. So if the heart is functioning properly, it does the least amount of work with the maximum effect, and that means that there is a heart qi. If your heart is working very hard, like when you go to the gym, then your heart is working very hard, you have a lot of yang, you might damage the yin, and the yin might eventually become stronger to create more yang, but then harmonization of the heart into what is a qi is then much more difficult. So that is also why in Taoism we basically advocate against hard physical labor, hard physical work, very militaristic forms of life in general. And therefore also yoga is being done in a different way by Taoists than by Indian yogis, where it is actually a military practice, according to Taoism anyway. Because of the system of health being properly harmonized and organized, then at that moment you can recognize Tao, and because of recognition of Tao you can find immortality. One of the 5 forms of immortality that usually are being discussed in the Huangyin Jing, but also in the traditions of Xuan Wu Pai, what I'm a member of course going back to Lu Dongping and his teacher Zhang. And as a result of that, we have a particular kind of clear idea about qi. So let's talk about prana right now. So you see, we have a very happy family here, everybody playing with each other. Nobody really worried about anybody. So our cats are unfortunately inside, otherwise they probably would have been here passing by a few times too. Because that is what happens when the things in your body are in order. Gradually everything around you feels comfortable with you and becomes your friend. So I hope this discourse about the difference between prana and chi will help you to disentangle what you get from different kind of theories, and therefore actually enhance the result of one practice or another. In Taoism, it is basically said, you shouldn't brag about what you have achieved, but you should actually make sure that you create yourself or recreate yourself on the basis of a relative purist and orthodox perspective. So that means that you want to use your theory as good as possible, and you don't want to modernize, because that only adds to the confusion. I hope this is really very helpful for you, and when you like the video, make me know that it is like that by clicking the like button. I'm not saying smashing, because that is coarse again, and that's not helping me to say these things, so I wouldn't. Definitely also join our channel if you want to know more. You can sponsor the program by helping me to create more of these kind of videos. You can make a remark through which you show that you like the content, what you specifically liked and what you would like to know more about, or what you think you're missing in the video. That is also very important. That helps me also to understand what I should do next. And if you want, you can also partake in our weekly classes. And our weekly classes are on Monday, they are on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and there is also, of course, the different health builder courses where you become an instructor to help your own community or your family or yourself. It doesn't really matter that much. And also there is, of course, the Daoist medicine bachelor program, and we have our first students signing up for our master program. So that is really very great. If you have studied with us in the past and you're still following these videos, or you're doubting and to do this, do it now, because the more we grow as a channel, the more people will see these videos. I have a maximum amount of students that I will allow into the Daoist medicine program, because the quality of things is more important than the quantity of people. I know I'm part of a populist movement in a way, right? The Wudang practices are very popular at the moment, and Taoism is on the rise as a whole, and is also trying to become a populist movement. But in essence, doing things like this is requiring seriousness in the approach of yourself. So if you want to do things out of fashion, don't join. Sponsor us, that's great, right? That's always helpful. If you have the money, you can afford it, and then sponsoring people who do things like me is always a good thing. So it's not about me specifically, but it is also sponsoring my students, and it is sponsoring my clients, through which I can help them as good as possible without having to be dependent on the income that I provide from these kind of things, so that I can also help more poor people than I do right now, and can minimize my prices and so on. Because as a Taoist, you're supposed to help people, not supposed to earn a lot. Thank you very much. My channel also, therefore, probably will never grow so much, because what I'm telling is very often too difficult for people. But any help is welcome. Have a good day, and I hope you really enjoy this, and I look forward to see you next time.